Hi, welcome to CMMC Automation. On this channel, we share with you tips on how to automate your CMMC compliance efforts using ChatGPT to save your company considerable time and resources. My name is Derek Phillips. I am the president and founder of Aspire Cyber. We specialize in helping small defense contractors prepare for their CMMC assessments. Also, I am a certified CMMC assessor and instructor. Let's get to the content.
In this video, I'll be showing you how to use ChatGPT to automate the compliance activities for CMMC AC.L2-3.1.9, which focuses on privacy and security notices for all systems that provide access to or contain CUI. So if we look at the CMMC Level 2 Assessment Guide, go to the actual practice for 3.1.9. We see that provide privacy and security notices, consent with applicable CUI rules. Then if we go down into the further discussion section, see every system containing or providing access to CUI has legal requirements concerning user privacy and security notices. So there are legal requirements for those security notices, which really emphasizes why it's so important for organizations to have a clear understanding of where that CUI lives, what systems process, store, or transmit that CUI. So we don't want people accidentally accessing controlled unclassified information. We want them deliberately accessing it. So they are put on notice of their legal requirements to protect the confidentiality and dissemination of that controlled unclassified information, whether it's basic or specified. So I found this presentation on the NIST website, but this was a presentation by the Information Security Oversight Office under NARA. So I just wanted to show you an example of what that splash screen or banner security and privacy notice looks like. So you see in this example, we have the header and footer saying, okay, this system contains CUI. And then at the login screen, we're going to have this message regarding, hey, this is only authorized personnel should be accessing CUI, and then letting them know your organization certainly should work with your legal department to craft the notice message that you're going to display on systems prior to login. That's really is the key. You want any system that humans are interfacing with prior to them logging on, that privacy and security notice should be displayed for systems, again, that are either contain or allow access to CUI. And then also in this example, it shows if there's physical CUI. So example, papers that contain CUI, designs, blueprints, etc. Then you're going to have them in something like this, a box or something where someone's putting on notice before they're accessing that CUI. With that being said, let's see how ChatGPT can help us automate this compliance activities related to 3.1.9. You know, our first prompt anytime we're working with ChatGPT for this automation series is we're going to provide ChatGPT the context as far as what we are expecting in our responses. We're in the same conversation from that we've been using for this entire series. So all of the previous access control practices that we prompted ChatGPT for guidance is contained in the same conversation. So remember, until you delete that conversation, ChatGPT is going to remember everything that you put in that conversation. So letting ChatGPT know I'm going to provide the practices and assessment objectives. I'm looking for recommendations for administrative and technical controls. Also, any evidence that I can present during my CMMC Level 2 assessment to help the assessors conclude that the practice is fully met. So ChatGPT is ready for duty. Now I've pasted in the practice. So provide privacy and security notices consistent with applicable CUI rules. As with all of the previous practices, we always starting with that clear policy. And for this domain, thinking about the access control policy. Or it doesn't have to be named that, but it's basically a policy outlining the governance around access control. Then technical solutions, we need to implement a system for managing privacy and security notices. It could be as simple as a shared document or something more complex as far as software. So if you're thinking about systems, and let's use Windows systems, for example, you can configure a Windows system that prior to login, you're going to have that banner, that splash screen displaying that CUI legal requirements. So I know when I served in the military, if we were accessing any system we access for the government, it had that notice to let us know, okay, either it was an unclassified system or it was a classified system. So it was clearly marked, had notices, knew exactly as that end user what type of data was being processed, stored, or transmitted on that system. So ChatGPT recommends Druvo and Sync for managing data privacy notices. I don't think I've heard of that one before, but again, it just demonstrates how ChatGPT can make you aware of different solutions that may be available to you, and you can just explore them further. Have Google Workplace. If you're thinking about in the context of your CMMC Level 2 assessment, the assessors likely are going to want to see that privacy and security notice is displayed on the system. So for example, if you say, all right, I have CUI stored on my laptop, before you log into your laptop, this is an example of one of the assessment methods as far as an assessor can use a test where they can say, all right, let's see you log on to your laptop. And before you even log on, once the system boots up, before you even get to the log on screen, they should see that CUI notice. If not, then it's not meeting the requirements for this 3.1.9 practice. Training completion records. So always training is going to be an integral part of satisfying these practices. Screenshots, Druvo. If we go back to the CMMC Level 2 assessment guide, where I have highlighted every system containing or providing access to CUI has legal requirements concerning user privacy and security notices. Systems that organizations commonly overlooked are those networking devices. If your network devices that are in scope, such as like your routers, your switches, your firewall, if they're providing access to those CUI systems, then those devices also should have the privacy and security notices. So for example, if logging into the router or the firewall, the switch, prior to login, I should see that notice. So that one is commonly overlooked by organizations, but since you're watching this video series, you're going to be aware of that. You're not going to overlook it. Also, keep in mind that the system use notifications are only used for access via login interfaces with human users and are not required when such user interfaces do not exist. So think about like your service accounts or automated tasks. Obviously, there's no need for a banner notice for any automated tasks that does not have a user interface, a human user interface. So we want to ensure that privacy and security notices required by CUI specified rules are identified, consistent, and associated with the specified CUI category. So we're going to compile a comprehensive list of CUI categories that are applicable to your organization and identify the specified privacy notices required for each category. So again, if you have, for example, like ITAR, EAR, that type of specified CUI is going to have dissemination requirements. So that's an example. Technical solutions, we can use a content management system to organize the notices, SharePoint or Confluence for managing and disseminating CUI specified privacy and security notices. Then we have a list or chart detailing identified privacy and security notices associated with each CUI category. CMS showing the structure of the CUI, policies, training documentation. The next assessment objective for 3.1.9 is privacy and security notices are displayed. So in our policy, we're going to detail when and where are those privacy and security notices should be displayed. Use a website content management system or portal for displaying the notices. Again, emphasizing that those notices should be displayed prior to login, prior to someone logging into a system. Recommending WordPress, SharePoint, have evidence, screenshots, or live demonstrations. So I'll say this is likely going to be an example of where the assessor is going to elect to use a live demonstration. So they're going to want to test this practice to make sure that any systems that contain or allow access to CUI do have those notices. And then training records. So I mentioned about example configuring Windows systems to display those privacy and security notices prior to log on. So let's prompt ChatGPT to get more guidance on how we can do that. So how can I configure a Windows system to, let me spell the word right, display privacy and security notices prior to log on? We use our local security policy editor, and it's giving me the exact steps. Win plus R, if we go to security settings, local policy, security options, in the right pane, look for policy name, interactive log on. So this is the beauty of automation I'm talking about, where you can just, hey, prompt ChatGPT, how do I do this? And then ChatGPT give you a step-by-step guidance. Obviously, you still need to perform this activity, and it may be a way that you can configure like a ChatGPT API or something to do this for you, but I'm not that advanced. But as far as giving me the step-by-step guidance in layman terms, how I can do it, that's pretty awesome. And then again, continue to prompt ChatGPT for more and more guidance. Next, I'm going to prompt ChatGPT to create us a sample notice. So see what that verbiage looks like. I've already showed you in the presentation example, but let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. So in this system, processes information is categorized as controlled unclassified information, subject to specified restrictions on how it's processed, stored, and transmitted, as dictated by federal law and policy. And then we say, okay, by using this system, you acknowledge and agree to the following. Must be granted explicit permission, establish the protocols for handling the CUI. You understand to comply with the guidelines for sharing CUI with external parties. By logging on the system, you acknowledge and understand your agreement to the above notice. And then please report any suspected or known violations. And then ChatGPT is giving that disclaimer. You tailor this message as needed to fit your organization's exact CUI policies. So as I mentioned, you certainly want to consult with your legal team to finalize the privacy and security notices that you use for any systems that contain or give access to CUI. But you can see how ChatGPT can get you started in the right direction. Instead of starting with that blank sheet of paper, trying to figure out, hey, what do I do? What type of message do I need to have? So NIST SP 800-171 does not get to the prescriptive level where it's saying you need to use this exact privacy and security notice message per verbatim. It's just giving you the parameters, the guidelines, and then you and your legal team will need to craft a message specific to your organization. But you can see ChatGPT can get you started. And lastly, just keep in mind that we're talking about any systems, so if they contain that CUI, and then also security protection devices such as your routers, firewalls, any of those type of systems that grant access to those CUI systems, then they need to also include the banners. Also, if we're talking about physical CUI that's printed out, for example, then you can contain that in a box that has the CUI, or in a file cabinet on the outside it's labeled CUI is contained. Or you can have posters up. You're not limited in ways that you can display the privacy and security notices. To that point, if you look back in the CMMC Level 2 Assessment Guide for 3.1.9, we see that where necessary, posters or other printed material may be used in lieu of an automated system banner. Organizations consult with their Office of General Counsel for legal review and approval of the warning banner content. I can't emphasize that enough. This is a legal warning, so you want to make sure that you have an attorney review it before you finalize it. All right, so we'll close out this video with our project plan. So we want chart format, want to provide guidance, want to basically consolidate the guidance that was provided to us today, including administrative controls and name specific technical solutions. ChatGPT is happy to accommodate our request. So sample project plan. It's always need to identify that CUI, privacy and security notice requirements. There's no technical solution. That's more so administrative activity. Need to draft it, the notice, get it approved by legal, then configure the systems. Example, group policy editor in Windows to configure system to display notices at log on. So prior to a user being able to log on to that system, they're going to see that privacy and security notice. And you're going to implement the notice on all systems that, again, contain or permit access to any systems that have a CUI. Then we need to monitor compliance and update as necessary. We're using monitoring to track that compliance. All right, pretty straightforward project plan for 3.1.9. I hope this video was helpful for you and being able to see an actual example of how the notices are displayed prior to log on. I invite you to leave any comments or feedback that you have. Feel free to reach out to me at dphillips@aspirecyber.com. Always happy to talk CMMC, answer any questions you have. And I'll be back next time with 3.1.10.
Thanks for watching CMMC Automation. I hope that you got a lot of value from today's video and you use ChatGPT to automate your CMMC efforts. It's going to save your company a lot of time and money. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me at Aspire Cyber. Also, you can leave your questions in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe because it helps out this channel immensely. I really appreciate it, and good luck to you on your CMMC journey.